Hey guys, here today to talk to you about some Paizo paper minis. This is by far the cheapest way to do minis in your game, and they're great if you're doing the adventure pass because you can get the specific monsters and NPCs for that adventure path. They're paper, some people may not like that. They require a little assembly, some people may not like that, but it is definitely the cheapest way to go. It can be a PDF, print out, that's a full sheet. You want to cut them in groups. See, there's this line that matches up all the way through, and they're easier to deal with in groups. So you cut them out, and you want to score that line right there. And with a score, barely any pressure. These are printed out on like 110 cardstock. And if you give it just a little score there, then it'll fold easy. You guys know, probably. I probably don't have to tell you about cardstock. I'm talking about the minis, but in case you don't know. And what I did do, before I cut them up, on the back of the sheet, light is no good. See those marks? Those are the tops of the base, right here, and here, here, here. Marked out because you don't want your glue to go below that point, because you'll want those flaps to come back up to be the base. So once it's folded, then the mini will be the same, front and back. I'm not going to mess with gluing it right now, but we put a nice, pretty generous amount. Oh hell, maybe I will mess with it right now. Like I said, don't stand above that base line that you're going to want to use later to flat back up. Oh, see it there, I just fucked up and went past it. Fix that. Make your finger. Speaking of fingers, just get in there. Spread the glue around. Wipe it on your pants. Fold that over. Crease it out. Sometimes I'll use the ruler. So you got that. Stick that somewhere. It's dry. Sometimes I'll put it underneath cutting mat, hold it flat. Alright. Then you got this. This is one that's already dry. Make sure not to get the flaps. Like I talked about. Now I didn't score these yet, where it's going to fold back up, because they don't necessarily match up. See, like, yeah, I can do something about the lighting here. Hers is higher up than his. Hers is a little higher up than his, so you can't go straight across like you could at the top. But once the glue is dry, just cut these guys into individual monsters or NPCs, as the case may be. You can go ahead and score them at this point if you want to. So where that base is going to turn back up, right there along that line. Just another light score. On both sides. along that line. You got a base. There's more work to be done with those. So later we're going to be mounting it on a 1-inch washer to add a little weight and give it just a good base. You can use that washer to cut that circle cut along the bottom of those flaps. So now you just got a flap. Now, when you cut all these guys out, I've also got on the sheet all these little bases that will go on the underside later. I'll show you more about that in a bit. Alright, so then you could just leave the guy like that. You could just mount him and be done. I like to follow pretty close to his body, and go in and cut around. So I just got back from our 92nd Kingmaker session. We've been playing the Kingmaker Adventure Path for just a little over 2 years now. And tonight was session number 92. Very close to the end. With us gearing up for Serpent Skull a little more. That's the next adventure path in the line. This is sort of part of my Serpent Skull prep. Well, no sort of about it. This is part of my Serpent Skull prep. Alright, so anyway, we cut this guy out. You can get detailed. I'll do better than that eventually. I'll get in this area here, maybe even in between the arm. Not a lot of white, not all the way up against. I like to leave a little border, and just with white glue mount to a washer, and then on the underside, put that punched out nameplate so you know which monster it is, which NPC it is. I got one of these handy. It's a 1-inch. You play D&D or Pathfinder, want to make your own. I hate to say the word. You want to make your own pogs, or do this, or heck, you could Photoshop your own paper minis or whatever. It's good. 1-inch representation of these guys. Anyway, so we're at, you get detailed, you cut them up. Then you're left with this is one that's all mounted. And what I do once I've got them mounted to the washer and got them all made, I will hit them with some of this clear coat. It gives it kind of I feel like it hardens the whole thing up. Gives it kind of almost like a shrinky dink, plasticky feel, which is good, I think. Right, so I already did all of Serpent Skull Book 1, the paper minis. They have paper minis for every book in the Serpent Skull line. They don't necessarily have paper minis for every book in every Adventure Path line, unfortunately, because I think it's a great product. Different artists for different lines. I like this particular guy the best, as luck would have it, since I'm running this one. It's Todd Westcott as the artist, but here is all of, it's 84 miniatures in the first book, and that is $5. Well, plus washers and the clear coat, but you can get the clear coat, you can do tons of minis with the clear coat. So $5, 84 minis, right? Book 2 is over 100 minis, $6. Book 3, over 100 minis, $6. So, and the other thing they've done is, if you face Vegapigmas in the AP, you face 2 here, 3 there, another 1 by himself, another 2, but the most you ever face is 3, they'll make sure and give you 3 Vegapigmas, which is nice. So you're going to have all the minis that you will need for that adventure pack. So if you did the whole paper line for Serpent Skull, that's over 600 minis for $34. That is pretty hard to beat. But just for comparison, because I love minis, not just paper. Right, so you got these guys. They're the paper minis we've been talking about. It's an NPC. Yeah. It's just 2D, but it works. Right? Paizo also has the pawns. These flat paper. There's some stands you can stand them up in. And then there's the pre-painted plastic line through WizKids. I guess there's a fourth, but I didn't really think about. They've got Reaper metal minis, unpainted. They've got a license to do Pathfinder minis. But anyway, there's your 3 options. I personally wouldn't like all 3 on the table at the same time. I think it would be distracting. But it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing an AP, I highly recommend the paper minis. You can get every mini you need, every NPC, every monster. $34. If you're doing homebrew, you can get the Bestiary box, which is about 300 minis for $35, which would be over 300 of these, 20 medium bases, 10 large bases, 5 huge bases. But that's plenty. You don't need them all based all at the same time. Pre-painted plastic, very sexy, very expensive. The current line, this is from the Beginner Box Heroes. This is $12 for 4 minis of this quality. $12. They're great quality, but $12 for 4. You can get 1 huge for $25, or 1 large, 3 medium for $16 for the current Rise of the Rune Lords pre-painted plastic mini line. The pawns, they're going to have more bestiaries. They're also going to have Adventure Path specific ones. I don't know that they're going to be as exhaustive as the paper minis. Like the Rise of the Rune Lords that just came out, it's $16 and it's over 100 minis. I can't imagine that's enough. It's just over 100 and it's over 600 for all 6 books of an AP. I just can't imagine that's enough. Anyway, 84 minis. That's a large shark. Pretty cheesy. But further books do actually go up to Gargantuan. There are some Gargantuan paper minis. These are mostly humanoids, undead. A couple monsters. Gibbering Mouther. There's some tinies. That's cool. Soulbound doll. Cool stuff. But those are some mini options for you. And if you're doing Serpent Skull, I highly recommend the paper minis by Todd Westcott. That's all for now. Nighty night.